If there is one truth you need to internalize right now, it's this. Your words create your world, not in some fluffy motivational poster kind of way, but in a practical, spiritual, and financial way. Your mouth is not just for talking, it's for building. Every word you speak is a seed, and the harvest you live in today is the result of the seeds you planted yesterday. Most people don't realize they are prophesying their own failure every single day. They say things like, I can't do that, or that's just not who I am, or that kind of success isn't for people like me. And then they look around and wonder why their life isn't changing. It's not changing because their words haven't changed. You see, the moment you open your mouth, you either align yourself with your potential or with your limitations. And unfortunately, many people are more faithful to their fear than they are to their future. They rehearse their limitations more than they speak their possibilities. They become evangelists for their own excuses. And the problem is not that they're not talented. The problem is they're talking themselves out of their own transformation. You have to speak what you seek until you see what you said. That's not hype. That's principle. That's how faith works. You can't wait to see it to believe it. You have to believe it so deeply that you say it over and over until your reality starts to move into agreement with your words. Too many people speak according to what they see instead of what they want to see. But if what you see doesn't match what you want, don't describe it. Declare something different. Think about it like this. Your mouth is the steering wheel of your life. Wherever your mouth turns, your life follows. If you say you're tired, you'll start feeling exhausted. If you say you're stuck, you'll start acting stuck. But if you wake up and declare, I am focused, I am growing, I am attracting opportunity, your mind, your energy, and even your body will begin to align with that declaration. This is not about pretending you're somewhere you're not. This is about speaking from a position of power, not a position of pity. You've got to stop using your words to describe your pain and start using them to design your progress. There is power in your proclamation. When you speak with purpose, you activate purpose. When you speak with confidence, you draw confidence into your experience. Even when your circumstances haven't caught up yet, your words start sending out signals to your mind, to your environment, and yes, even to divine favor that something is shifting. And here's the kicker. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's repeatedly declared. That's why affirmations work. That's why declarations are critical. Because when you keep repeating something, your brain starts wiring itself to believe that it's true. It's true. Starts adjusting your beliefs, your actions, and even your habits to match that repeated word. So if you keep saying, I'm not good with money, guess what? You won't be. But if you begin to say, I'm learning to master my finances, I attract wisdom. I attract the right mentors. I manage money with excellence. Then over time, your behavior begins to follow that script. This is also why it's important to guard your language when you're frustrated. Anyone can talk big when they're winning, but what do you say when you're in the middle of a storm? That's the test. Because the storm is temporary, but your words can make the storm permanent if you're not careful. If you speak defeat in the valley, don't expect victory at the mountain. You've got to train your tongue to speak like where you're going, not like where you are. Now understand something crucial. This isn't magic, and it's not superstition. This is alignment. This is authority. When you speak with intention, you activate attention. Heaven takes notice. Resources start to reorganize. People start treating you differently, not because they've changed, but because your energy has changed. Your language creates an atmosphere. And you can either create an atmosphere of excellence or an atmosphere of excuses. When you change your language, you change your language, you change your life. Not overnight, but over time. Repetition is the mother of mastery. So if you're going to be obsessed with anything, be obsessed with speaking what you seek. Speak it until your mind believes it. Speak it until your actions reflect it. Speak it until your results confirm it. Speak it until you wake up one day and realize you're living in the middle of everything you used to declare. Most people are obsessed with getting more money, more followers, more attention, more results, but they don't stop to ask one critical question. Am I creating value? Because if you're not creating value, you're not building anything that lasts. Value is the root. Volume is the fruit. And the problem is people are trying to harvest fruit from a tree they never bothered to plant or water. They chase revenue, they chase recognition, they chase results, but they neglect the one thing that drives all of it: value. When you become obsessed with value, money becomes a byproduct. When you become obsessed with value, people start coming to you. You don't have to chase opportunities, they chase you. The marketplace always rewards those who solve real problems at a high level. It may not be instant, but it's inevitable. You can tell a person's future by what they focus on. Are they looking at what they can extract or what they can contribute? What they can contribute. The extractors might win short term, but the contributors dominate long term. If you're only in it for the money, your vision is too small, because money is just a tool. It's not the mission, it's a reflection. It reflects the level of value you bring to others. So the real question isn't how can I make more? The real question is how can I become more valuable? That shift will change everything. Becoming valuable doesn't mean being perfect. It means being focused. It means identifying what you do better than most people, and then refining that skill until it solves a real problem for a real person in a real way. You don't need to do everything. You need to do one thing well enough that it moves the needle for someone else. Excellence in a focus lane creates demand. And where there's demand, there's income. Where there's consistent demand, there's scalable income. And where there's scalable income, there's freedom. But the freedom is on the other side of the value, not the volume. I've seen people start businesses thinking that if they just get more customers, everything will work. But here's the truth. If you don't offer real value, getting more customers will only expose your weaknesses faster. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket with more water. The issue isn't the water flow, it's the holes. And the way you patch the holes is by becoming obsessed with excellence, service, and transformation. When you commit to making someone's life better, easier, faster, or more meaningful, you become irreplaceable. And when you become irreplaceable, you'll never lack opportunity again. Value also changes how you sell. When you focus on value, you don't have to pressure people. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to overhype. You simply present the truth about what you offer and the problem it solves. And if you've done your homework, if you've actually built something useful, then you're not selling, you're serving. And that's a game changer, because service builds trust, and trust builds relationships, build revenue. When people trust you, they want to buy from you, not just once, but over and over again. That's how you build sustainability. That's how you build momentum, not by hype, but by helping. There's also a mindset shift that happens when you become value focused. You stop seeing people as transactions and you start seeing them as transformation. You realize that every client, every customer, every follower is a soul, a story, a person with dreams and struggles. And your job is not just to get something from them, it's to give something to them. It's to give something. When you operate from that place, everything shifts. Your messaging changes, your offers change, your energy changes, because now you're not just building a business, you're building impact. When you focus on value, volume eventually catches up. It has to. Because the world is hungry for real solutions. The world is overwhelmed by noise, but desperate for clarity. When you show up consistently with clarity, confidence, and competence, people will find you. You become a lighthouse in the storm, a solution in a sea of sales pitches, a leader in a crowd of copycats. And that kind of positioning doesn't just make you money, it makes you meaningful. This is not about just working hard. A lot of people are working hard and going nowhere. This is about working smart and working right. It's about asking the hard questions. Who am I serving? What do they need? How can I serve them better than anyone else? If you ask those questions every single day and act on the answers, you will never be broke another day in your life. Not because of magic, but because of math. Key value always translates into results. It may take time, but it never fails. Value attracts loyalty. Value multiplies influence. Value builds legacy. And legacy is the highest level of success. Most people want success with clarity, with certainty, with guarantees. They want every step mapped out before they take the first one. They say, as soon as I understand everything, I'll move. But here's the truth. If you wait to understand before you obey, you'll be stuck at the starting line for the rest of your life. Clarity is not the prerequisite for obedience. Obedience is the catalyst for clarity. Most breakthroughs don't happen when you get the full blueprint. They happen when you take the first step in faith, trusting that what you need will be revealed along the way. It's not the knowing that activates the blessing, it's the doing. It's the willingness to move forward without all the details, without all the answers, without the applause. The reason so many people remain stagnant isn't because they lack intelligence or resources. It's because they're addicted to understanding. They've trained themselves to only act when everything makes sense. But life doesn't work like that. Business doesn't work like that. Purpose doesn't work like that. There will always be a gap between instruction and information. That's the gap where faith lives. And if you don't learn how to operate in that gap, you'll keep missing doors that were meant for you. Think about this. Some of the greatest opportunities you will ever have in your life will not come with full instructions. They will come as impressions, as convictions, as nudges in your spirit. You'll feel called to build something, to launch something, to leave something, to start something, but you won't have all the details. And in those moments, you have a choice. Wait for clarity or walk in obedience. One keeps you safe, the other sets you free. One keeps you comfortable, the other stretches you into growth. Most people never experience their next level because they are too committed to their current one. They are too loyal to logic and too unfamiliar with faith. Obedience is not about ease. It's about alignment. It's about trusting the process even when the process doesn't make sense yet. It's understanding that you don't need full sight to take the next step. You just need the courage to move when the instruction hits your spirit. When you're building something meaningful, whether it's a business, a brand, a movement, a message, you have to become comfortable taking imperfect action. Sometimes protecting your environment means saying no. No to unnecessary conversations, no to unproductive meetings, no to people who drain your energy but add no value. You don't have time to entertain what doesn't align. Every minute you spend in the wrong room is a minute you're not building what you were called to build. Time is a currency and your attention is an investment. Spend both wisely because your return is determined by your environment. Boundaries are not barriers. They are bridges to your next level. They are how you protect the integrity of your purpose. They are how you communicate to the world that your calling matters. And when people resist your boundaries, it's usually because they benefited from your lack of them, but you can't lead others if you won't lead yourself. And self-leadership starts with creating and protecting an environment where your best self can thrive. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do need to reposition some people. You don't have to fight for distance, just prioritize your direction. As you grow, your needs evolve. The people, places, and patterns that once served you may now be suffocating you. And the greatest act of self-respect is to choose alignment over attachment. Because your environment is either pulling you forward or holding you back. There is no neutral.